Hey there, guys. Alright, today we are back with some more of the Great War, and this time we're on to week 150. The Battle of Messines. Explosion beneath Hill 60. Before we dive in, make sure you go and check. Oh, that's awkward. Hold on. Pause. Pause. Unpause. What was the thing? Oh, before we dive in, make sure you go and check out the links in the description box below. I would love if you joined the Discord and followed me over at Twitch. Don't collapse again, microphone. Let's dive in.
In this war, men have attacked the enemy from the front, from behind, from the air, and from the sea. And this week, they attacked them from beneath the earth.
And we tried attacking them from the side. Or what about a 45-degree angle in the northeasterly
I'm Indy
direction?
Nidell. Welcome to the Great War. Last week, the big news was mutiny in the French army that only grew in size as the days passed. Italy continued its offensive against the Austrians.
Hey man, the French may not... Again, I make this joke because it's fun to make fun of French people, and the French people get very mad. The French may not be good at fighting other people, but goddamn, they are amazing at fighting themselves. They're really... Honestly, I think the French are the best at fighting themselves. No one else can compete, you know?
And the British High Command prepared for a huge summer offensive that would see its first act unfold when General Sir Herbert Plumer detonated his 19 mine tunnels packed with explosives under German positions at Messines Ridge. That detonation came this week. It came after a week-long artillery barrage with the heaviest concentration of artillery seen on any front so far, so the heaviest in history.
Didn't we just have that, like, last week, too? The heaviest artillery barrage? I thought we had something similar not that long ago. Okay.
Plumer had one big gun for every 7 meters of front.
Every 7 meters? That's what? If people are standing, like, or laying down long ways, that's what? 2, 3 or 4 people? They're tall. Can't remember how many feet 2 meters is.
At 3:10 a.m. on June 7, 1917, the mines were detonated almost simultaneously. The entire ridge went straight up into the air. You could feel tremors from the blast in London, and apparently British Prime Minister David Lloyd George heard a faint boom while working through the night at 10 Downing Street. The concussion at the scene was tremendous, and one soldier recounted, "The whole earth seemed to rock and sway, several of the men and myself being thrown down violently. It seemed to be several minutes before the earth stood still again. Flames rose to a great height. Silhouetted against the flames, I saw huge blocks of earth that seemed to be as big as houses falling back to the ground. It was awful, a sort of inferno." A man from a tank crew said, "You'd never seen anything like the size of it. You'd never believed that explosives could do it. I saw about 150 Germans lying dead there. The mine had killed them all. The mine had won the battle before it started." 10,000 German soldiers are believed to have been killed or buried alive right off the bat.
Damn, that's effective. Oh.
Thousands more were totally stunned, and 7,354 prisoners were taken. The British infantry...
It's crazy that it took until 1917 to try something like this, though. Or to maybe... I mean, I'm sure there's been attempts to get something similar like this going, but maybe they all failed. But, like, to never have one succeed until now in 1917 seems a bit strange. That they never put any real effort into it up until now. I feel like, you know, it would have made sense to try this at the Battle of the Somme, you know?
Infantry took possession of a chain of craters over 20 meters deep where much of Messines Ridge had been. This was a spectacular success, achieving its objective with virtually no cost in men, but it was actually only a limited success. The British had penetrated the German positions no more than 2 or 3 kilometers, and they did not try to push deeper. British commander Sir Douglas Haig wanted this operation only as a contribution to his main offensive planned for a month from now, and he ordered it stopped once the ridge was taken. This wasn't actually foolish. He didn't want his men to outpace the artillery, and he certainly wanted to dig in before the Germans could
Okay, you know what? You get a pass this time, Douglas Haig. This time.
counterattack. But some scholars, G.J. Meyer, for example, in A World Undone, claim that for a few hours there was a real chance to cut deeply into or maybe even through the German defenses. The Great War generals on the Western Front echoes this, but lays the blame on General Hugh Gough for not moving his Fifth Army to attack the Gevald Plateau when they had the momentum on their side. I can't say one way or another. Go read up on it and tell me what you think in the comments.
I'm not going to read up on it. I'm just going to say what I think anyways. I always, especially when it just comes to war in general, I'd say, like, obviously there's a point when you become too cautious, but still succeeding, at least in a what really for them is a full victory of the goals as to what was supposed to be accomplished with the explosions, right? They accomplished what they wanted to get done, perhaps even exceeded it, just because they didn't lose any men themselves in an assault, or very minimal. Now, of course, the opportunity there to push through is perhaps there, but erring on the side of caution. They still advanced 2-3 kilometers, which in trench warfare is a good bit of distance. Right? So I say that, I mean, hindsight 2020, perhaps, yeah, they could have pushed deeper, but it's like, if they had gone for the attempt to push deeper and they were absolutely slaughtered or pushed back and didn't make any sizable headway, then they would also just be shat on for being like, oh, so stupid, like, for once I'm siding with Douglas Haig. God, what? Oh, I feel disgusting.
Anyhow, the British may have had momentum on their side, but for the Italians, that moment had passed. The 10th Battle of the Isonzo River was now over 3 weeks old, and the Italian attack had run out of steam and shells just when it seemed like the enemy might collapse. This week, though, the battle flared to life anew on the 4th with a huge Austro-Hungarian counterattack north of Hermada, taking back lost territory and inflicting heavy casualties. The next day, the battle came to an end. It had followed a familiar pattern. Masses of Italian infantry attacking and taking huge casualties for the occasional small gain, followed by Austro-Hungarian counterattacks that were mostly successful, but there were differences now. The Austrians were outnumbered in men, sure, but they had doubled their artillery, and the bulk of it was on the Karso Plateau. So General Svetozar Boroyevich von Boynya's guns fired nearly 2 million shells during the battle, a big increase from the earlier ones, though this put serious pressure on Austro-Hungarian industrial production, which was barely keeping up anyhow. Another big difference was in morale. It had reached an all-time low on both sides, and you saw many cases of infantry refusing to launch another attack. Troops were also surrendering a lot more easily. In fact, 27,000 Italians were taken prisoner. The battle was an Italian victory, technically, since they had advanced, but it was the deadliest of the 10 battles of the Isonzo. The official casualty list was 159,000 for the Italians and 80,000 for the Austrians. There's no way that sort of fighting can continue. Something would have to give.
Get rid of Luigi Cadorna. That's all.
And crumbling morale in another army had led to open mutiny, the French army. And this week in France, there was chaos in the war zone, as the mutineers would not go back into the lines. They certainly weren't going to go over the top again either. On June 4th, French Minister of War Paul Painlevé estimated there were only 2 reliable divisions between the front line and Paris, a distance of just over 100 kilometers. Tens of thousands of soldiers had joined the mutiny, and in spite of the variety of their mutinous behavior, the average complaints concerned lack of leave and low pay. The military authorities under French commander Philippe Pétain now began to crack down and arrest the mutineers. But morale was actually on the rise in one rather surprising place, Romania. Romania, as you may remember, was invaded by all four Central Powers simultaneously last fall. The capital fell, the oil fields fell, and that campaign ended at the beginning of this year with the Romanian state reduced to about one-third its former size. Gathered there was what was left of the army with about 20,000 new recruits. Refugees from Wallachia and Transylvania, enemy prisoners, and the Russian army that helped the Romanians defend the territory they had left. That was about 1.5 million people in addition to the local population. The food situation, though, was not as desperate as you might guess, since food reserves had been sent there in late 1916, along with 200,000 cattle and 500,000 sheep. Every bit of available land was farmed, and the army worked the land and cut trees for firewood. There had been a really bad period in early 1917 when a typhus epidemic had broken out, causing an estimated 300,000 deaths. But things had calmed down. The Romanian army had been reorganized and trained, and there were 400,000 men in fighting units, equipped with French weapons sent through Russia, and it had some big differences from the army of a year earlier. Last year, each regiment had from 0 to 6 machine guns. Now, each one had 24. They had no light machine guns and only 24 grenadiers back then. Now, each regiment had 96 light machine guns, and everyone was trained with grenades. It was Constantin Prizan, chief of staff, who presided over the reorganization, but a French military mission under Henri Berthelot, made up of 289 officers, 37 pilots, and over 1,000 soldiers, opened military schools to give the Romanian troops the French knowledge of 3 years of modern war. Romania also found soldiers from another source. Around 400,000 ethnic Romanians living in the Austro-Hungarian Empire had been conscripted into the imperial army. By now, around 120,000 of them were prisoners in Russian POW camps. A few months ago, for those that wanted it, Russia agreed to organize them into units to fight for Romania and set up a camp for Romanian POWs near Kiev. This week, on June 8th, the first 2 battalions of those soldiers arrived and were sworn into the Romanian army. Romania, it seems, was not finished yet. And far across the sea,
Good job,
the United
Romania.
States was also raising an army. On June 5th, registration began for the draft of all men between 21 and 30. The New York Times, in a little piece of anti-Semitism, declared that this was a long and sorely needed means of disciplining a certain insolent foreign element.
Yikes.
They were referring to America's Jewish community, who were in reality not only not more pacifistic than other Americans, but within 2 months, Jews made up 6% of the American armed forces, even though they only made up 2% of the general population. Also in American news, General John J. Pershing arrived in Britain as the week came to an end. And it was a busy week of war, with an Italian army offensive coming to an end, the Romanian army refitting itself from an enemy army, the U.S. beginning to build its own army, mutiny continuing to plague the French army, and the British blowing up the German army. What Plumer had done there was one of the most successful attacks of the war, make no mistake. The planning was both colossal.
Fucking insane. God damn. They're so small compared to the crater.
And meticulous, and the execution near flawless. But imagine being a soldier there that day. The gigantic boom assaulting your ears, seeing an area the size of a village blast into the air, seeing a huge column of flame ignite the sky, seeing thousands of the men die in an instant. Just try to imagine being there that day. You'd been fighting in the trenches in muddy, miserable Flanders for years, unquestionably living in hell, and then today, hell got even worse. If you want to learn more about...
And that was the Battle of Messines, explosion beneath Hill 60, the Great War, week 150. I've got nothing to add here at the end. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.